just seen the Batman movie and I will be breaking down all the things that I have to say about it. Before I go any further, as a warning, this will contain spoilers for the movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is a warning. My initial thoughts after watching the film was that overall it was a good movie, although there are some nitpicks. I would say it's the most comic book accurate Batman movie. Robert Pattinson nailed it in this role, honestly. He was fantastic. First of all, the suit looked good. It was very DIY. It sort of resembled Brian Azzarello's art. And the mask sat really well on his face because Robert has a very defined jawline. Film directors tend to forget that Batman wears eyeliner under the mask. Well, any character that wears a mask usually applies eyeliner under it. And we see Batman apply the makeup, which is good attention to detail. You can tell that he studied the character and fully embodies it in his stiff body language, his deep toned voice, and his stoic manner of speaking. And his predatory expressions on his eyes were very intense and very believable as Batman. It was intimidating at times. He performed the fighting scenes fantastically. Robert Pattinson is not built with heavy muscle. He is leaner in shape, but he's still able to make Batman's fighting capabilities believable by compensating it with speed, agility, and sharp strikes, and of course with the use of his gadgets. The fighting style is a lot like the Arkham video games. He fought like a true martial artist. Occasionally he would take damage from his opponents, which was realistic. It added more danger to the fights and it showed Batman being a skilled fighter, but still being limited by his human weaknesses. A lot of people had doubts about Robert Pattinson playing as Batman, but he proved them wrong. This is not an origin story, as it has been done many times before. This takes place during the early stages of Batman's career. So he is younger and less experienced and is trying to find his place as a crime fighter in Gotham City. Director Matt Reeves revealed that he took inspirations from the graphic novels Batman the Long Halloween, Batman Ego, and Batman Year One. The atmosphere of Gotham City is very accurate to the comic books. The gothic skyscrapers towering over the poverty of Gotham citizens and polluted dark alleys. The movie starts by showing you the criminality of the city. The mood is menacing. The city has an aura of dread that strikes madness into its citizens. The streets are violent and the people live in constant fear of criminals. In contrast to that, the criminals are shown to be very superstitious of the Batman. They live in constant fear that Batman will attack them from the shadows. So they introduce Batman already having a presence in the streets of Gotham, reminding you that this is not an origin story. The story evolves with the fall of the old power structure of Gotham City. The power over Gotham is shifting from the traditional crime families to the rise of the supervillains. Batman is in his prime. He's young, angry, and only focused on the pursuit of avenging the cause of his parents' death, that cause being crime. He is conflicted when he finds out that the corruption of Gotham City runs deep in his family's legacy. Gotham will enter a new era. It's the beginning of the freaks and the supernatural citizens of Gotham City arising to power and ascending the city to chaos as Batman's famous Rogues Gallery. They introduced them with the Riddler, Penguin, and Catwoman. The Riddler was played by Paul Dano. I've seen his work in the film Prisoners, so I was confident that he could pull off this darker version of the Riddler. He represented the mental illness and the madness in the Riddler with full effort. The portrayal of Selina Kyle was quite underwhelming, not because the actress didn't do a good job. Zoe Kravitz was a perfect casting choice for Catwoman. She was very seductive and attractive, like Catwoman should be. The problem, I think, is that the script that she was given gave her too much to do, but at the same time, she sort of didn't have that much to do. Like, at first, she was introduced as Batman's love interest, but on the side, she also had a revenge story arc, but she also had a little bit of a backstory arc, and she also had her crime as Catwoman story arc. She had too many story arcs, and with a limited time, it was not possible to develop them all along with all the other characters in the movie. So she ended up being put in the background while trying to do everything at the same time. I just think that she was given too many story arcs for one movie. She was given too much too soon. That's the main criticism I have about this film. It wasn't terrible at all. It was up to 3 hours long. That's long enough to develop those characters well enough, but with the limited time and so much going on, some of it felt convoluted. The makeup artist for Colin Farrell as the Penguin deserves recognition. If you didn't know that that was him playing the part, you couldn't tell that that was Colin Farrell under all that makeup. The details enhance the deformities that make him resemble a penguin while still allowing the actor to express his face realistically. None of the characters have yet embodied their comic book counterparts. The Penguin is trying to build a reputation for himself in Gotham's underworld and hasn't yet embraced his penguin persona. Selina Kyle is a street hustler that hasn't yet transformed into Catwoman. The Riddler is in his early stages of his criminal career and he hasn't even dressed up in his traditional costume and only now has made himself known as a supervillain. Although I think they went too big with the Riddler, that big flood in the end was not Riddler's style. Riddler is a quirky, psychotic genius and whose only obsession is puzzles. And he would express that obsession by playing psychotic games with Batman. In the movie, they made him an anarchist, and that was not Riddler's style. Matt Reeves intended to do a retelling of Batman that hasn't been done before in the movies, and this was very different in many ways. First of all, it was visually stunning. The fast-paced action scenes, amazing shots with the red setting. It had a lot of resemblance to Mad Max Fury Road with crime noir. There was a lot of detective work in this, and Batman's detective skills is something that's not explored a lot in the movies. The whole movie, Batman was using his intelligence to solve Riddler's puzzles. It was really interesting to see that. It's the essence of his mantle. He is the world's greatest detective. The psychology of Bruce Wayne is shown and not told very well. He is shown to have insomnia. His body is broken from his violent lifestyle and he clearly has bad personal hygiene. The citizens of Gotham fear the Batman symbol. They don't yet accept him as their hero. The police department don't trust him and they think he's a freak. He has to earn his worth as a hero. And after he discovers that the corruption of Gotham City is in his family's legacy, he learns that just violently beating up criminals in the streets is not what the city needs. Those elements are very faithful to the character. I don't have any criticisms for Robert Pattinson. He is perfect in the role, absolutely perfect. Matt Reeves has confirmed that this will expand into its own universe with more movies and TV shows on HBO. This movie is a good foundation to expand on its own universe, and I am looking forward to seeing future projects related to this. Once again, I would rate Robert Pattinson as one of the best portrayals of Batman.